I'm going to tell you the truth. I've given a lot of thought and consideration into this video. We're coming to Christmas and it's about a video that you can give so many messages that people can save and watch over the festive period, and there'll be many messages in it that will change your life. And it's a good way to do a video because over the festive period you tend to have a lot of time in your hands, so you have time to sit and watch videos of this length. This video might go on for 10 minutes, but it's a video that will change your life. The concept of this, me doing this, even especially looking at a pen and looking at a journal, you see a pen and you see a journal, I don't. I see a gift that was presented to me by Ross Andrew at ATS board meeting this week. But what does it mean and why am I using it and what do I see when I see it? Basis of this video is about how do you feel? And it's a question I want you to ask yourself all the time. But me looking at the journal and looking at the pen, automatically Jason Lister appears. And then it goes back to 6 years ago when I walked into his small office. We're now onto our fourth office, but we walk into this small office, and based upon the first session, it was about just the matrix of business and where you were and what got you to the point that you were at that point. It was also a kinesthetic question about how do you feel against how do you want to feel. Now, if I was to ask him that question today, he would tell me he has a different feeling from that point to this point. But that probably sums up what I do. So what's this video about? What's the content and why? What leverage could I give you that might give you it's a bit like my book. You can read that book and take that book everywhere with you and open it up at a page and you'll be asked a question and you'll find an answer and it'll move you forward. So that book's not a book, that book is a Bible. It's a Bible that can be carried about with you, and at any moment in time you can open up a page and you will find an answer. The same with this video. So the video is about serving, giving, growing, making a difference, self, investing in self, feelings, how do you feel most days, compliments, values, blueprint against life map, freedom, rapport, honesty, trust, leverage, moving forward, paying attention, future self, and time is an illusion. So how do we start? How do we put the frame? We'll put the video into 4 parts. So let's start with lost business. Many years ago. So what does many years ago mean? I would probably go back to 11 years ago. I closed a business. What was the reason for closing the business? They were no longer accepting the margins that a corporate client were positioning us to. And I had the strength of character to do an exit with them and walk away. And it's a decision I think about every single day, but I know it was the right one. At the same time, government changed. And when they changed, legislation changed and something that we were involved in, we had no control over that. But all of a sudden it brought us to a crossroads. And even it came hard times so much that the darkest time was coming back for training at 7 in the morning. Leslie saying we've had a chap at the door, they're going to take our house off us. 2 years passed each other very calmly. And I said, I'll sort it. And I did sort it. But it's that point of how strong you get to understand your relationship, but understand your relationship with self. Now the concept there is, there was 3 entrepreneurs at that time who were around me, and on 3 occasions, even when I lost everything and even when my house was going to get taken off me, which it didn't, I was still willing to give things away. So when people were showing the need for something, I would be going and saying, here, take this. And one of the things I noticed, and it made me stop consciously and become aware of who I was, it was the look I was getting from the 3 entrepreneurs in different scenarios. It doesn't matter what it was I was given, it was the fact that they were confused why what I was experiencing in my life, that was giving me the inclination still to give away. Because my whole life for 40 years, away back to that woman with the papers when I ran up and got her bread and milk, my life of the feeling of giving, even when you have nothing, is the most liberating feeling that you will ever have, and I encourage you to continue to live your life that way. Give yourself a compliment. That's what I want you to do. We're at the festive period, you've went all year, who's told you? Now sometimes, yesterday I was talking about going into the mirror and giving yourself the affirmation, but I really want you to give yourself a compliment. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, well done. Every single person within a company or every single person in life has an attribute. You have a skill, you have a strength, you have a contribution to make. So tell yourself, well done, and say you are amazing. And start to get comfortable with telling yourself that you are amazing, because I see how truly amazing you are. This is why I do what I do. Because when I ask people, how do you feel? And then I get them to tell me their story, I see how their story can be changed to such a level that they will be crying when they think about the story of their life. 18 to 20, let me take you back in the past, the pinnacle moment of the years of my life. 18, I ended up in hospital with exhaustion. 20, I ended up going and sitting in front of somebody for 12 sessions to get help. But that's a good thing, because the concept of what I do and being able to spend all these years reflecting and understanding myself means that I've got the ability and the tools to help other people, because I can understand their neurology. Now, it's not just about going and seeking help. It's also the concept when life and blueprint and life map becomes a crossroads where you become confused. And I became confused. I became confused at 18 and became confused at 20. 20 that I went for professional help. 18 I realised that I needed coaches in my life. And that's the avenue I've taken ever since. And with the skills and investment that I've made and all the people who have supported me across my life as my coaches has given me the tools that allows me to do what the pathway does. And it's very rapid and very quick. Because when people come into my life and I build up trust, honesty, rapport, and we get the respect, all I'm doing is looking at the program that you have today. But then I'm paying more attention to who you want to become, and then I get to work. So never ever stop, never ever feel embarrassed of asking for help. I'm telling you right here and now, I had to sit in front of a psychiatrist at the age of 20. And at 18 I had to reach out to coaches because I was actually exhausted. Exhausted to the point of view of, this is the message, I was doing it all on my own. And that's just not the thing to do. You'll never work out self. And when you get support, it means when things go wrong, when there is certain life tragedies in your life, when you know who you are, you'll be fine. And that's why it's important to discover as much as you can in your life about self. Yesterday I also discovered something about time. I met somebody in the kitchen and they were going, oh, you dancer, half an hour to lunchtime. And I became very confused. I said, lunchtime, what are you talking about? He says, it's 12:10. And in that moment I looked at him and I said to him, can I be honest with you right now? And he said, yes. I says, I don't even know what year it is. I don't know what time it is. I don't even know what day it is. And I told this to a client in Asia yesterday, David, who works away. And I was talking to him and he stopped in his tracks and I was telling him about my day and how it was such a variety of different clients. And I was telling him how my day had went from the morning up to the point of being with him. And he burst out laughing and he said, but Stevie, is that not freedom? I said, absolutely. I don't work to time. Time is an illusion. Time is controlled by emotions. And if you think about that, your emotional states, does time go slow or does time go fast? Watch this. Was that a long time or a short time or was it quick? Do you see what I mean? It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. The concept of meditation for me is to take myself to still, because when I go to still, there's nothing there. The concept of as soon as you become consciously alert, you're either going to the past or a delusional future, but your thoughts are taking you in a time travel. That's why the consistency of me talking about alpha and talking about meditation is very, very important, because concept of living to purpose and living to time and giving for no reason at all, that's a different way of how your day turns out. Question, how do you feel? How do you feel the majority every day? In this book, there's a spreadsheet and it tracks you and asks you to track your emotions every hour on the hour. Every hour on the hour. Because what you're doing is you're scaling yourself between 1 and 4, 5 to 7 and 8 to 10. And then you're calling it in red, amber, green. Then you're getting to the end of the week and you're starting to look at where you are living emotionally. Then when you get to all your reds, you start going through all your reds and you start to become aware of all the triggers and all the behaviours and all the beliefs and all the reactions that you had that put you into that state. And the wonderful thing about that conscious awareness is this is what happens. It then gives you another choice, that you have another choice. Because what you can do is you can go back into history and you can make a decision that when this happens again, you're going to react this way. Then when you start to incorporate meditation and stillness into your life, all of a sudden, this is what you're working on. You're working on the mind. It started for me 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I became obsessed with the mind. 40 years ago, I wanted to dedicate my life to serving, giving and growing and feeling amazing every day. So I set myself a rule every day. The rule is, this is how I want to feel every day, and this is all the triggers, traits and behaviours that I'll have every day that are going to put me into that state. And anytime I'm not in that state, I catch it. Because once I catch it, I write it up and write it in my journal and say, this is at this time, this is how I felt, and I didn't want to feel this way. Because in that moment at the end of the day, before I leave the office, I write down all the solutions of what I'm going to do so I don't feel it that way again. The ability for me to see energy and see auras and change the programs to set people free. That's exactly what I do. Starting with a nod, and I like the nod. The nod is when people come in and they engage with me, and then as time goes by, we could be in a room and I could be at one end and they could be the other, and all we do is this. And it's an acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement between two souls, and the two souls are, this is who I was, this is who I am, and this is who I'm going to become. But Stevie, if you ask me right now what's the benefit of working with you all these years, one thing that I can measure and I can capture is how I feel. And I feel truly amazing now, because all we've done is change your program. But the whole concept of this video is it started with me at the age of 18, going to a place of exhaustion, and going to the age of 20, where I was man enough to stand up and go and seek help, and seek help in 12 sessions that put me on and aligned me onto a new path of development that allowed me to understand every aspect of who I was, which then allowed me to go on to a journey with all these psychologists who gave me the tools, and which means that I've been able to dedicate my life to helping others, serve others, give to others, and personally grow, which is something I will do for the rest of my life. Merry Christmas.